Hey everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus here with our first live stream in a while. We're doing some Boros burn tonight, going Stoneforge Mystic hunting. See how that goes. Huge shakeup in the format today. Faithless Looting was banned, Hogak was banned, which that was the expected one, and Stoneforge Mystic was unbanned. So that's bad news for our tertiary deck here on the channel in Izzet Phoenix, but for Burn it remains to be seen exactly how that kind of affects the meta. Obviously Stoneforge Mystic is now something we have to keep in mind when building decks. So the sideboard's been kind of adjusted a little bit to especially account for blue-white Stoneblade, which was a deck mostly ported from Legacy. Most of the builds I've been seeing floating around with streamers today has been involved things like Monastery Mentor, Snapcaster Mage pairing with Stoneforge Mystic along with the Batterskull and random X sword package that they have going on. They've had anything from Sword of Feast and Famine to Sword of Fire and Ice. I saw a couple different streamers playing with some Naya Zoo lists or Naya mid-range lists with like Knight of the Reliquary, Stoneforge Mystic package. There's been a couple other things floating around. Dead Guy Ale, which is a black-white kind of mid-range creature deck that got ported, involves like Dark Confidant, Stoneforge Mystic, some other stuff, Tide Hollow Sculler and such. I think I saw good old Gabe Nassif playing that earlier. But before we go any further, I want to thank everybody for your support and for our latest Patreon that I've neglected to mention. Her name is Juanita Sterling. I'm presuming that's a female patron, but I do apologize if that is a gentleman. But she's our newest $1 patron on Patreon. And with that, let's get into discussing the actual list that is going on here. So, current list, this is kind of a amalgamation of decks that have started to do well. There were some lists that have started adopting Fiery Islet in addition to Sunbaked Canyon to give us multiple copy up to 6 of the Horizon Can lands, and then the main deck's kind of what we've been used to with, basically the all 4 ofs. We're back to the full 4 Searing Blaze. Gotta have answers to that Stoneforge Mystic as soon as possible. Makes things a little bit more hazardous for us, so we need to get that Stoneforge Mystic off the table. Something to keep in mind, if they are playing blue, we need to try to do it during their turn if at all possible. Force of Negation is a real thing. It can potentially blow us out, especially if they aren't able to land a Batterskull as a result. Beyond that, things like Path to Exile kind of still a necessary evil for decks like Etron and humans and such popping up. Exquisite Firecraft this is a hedge against Stoneforge Mystic blue-white based decks, along with going back to the full 4 copies of Skullcrack. 3 Smash the Smithereens, also kind of necessary against these things like Batterskull. Deflecting Palm can buy us a turn, also pretty good against things like Etron and such. And still keeping a couple Misers, Tormod Crypts in the sideboard. Don't want to get got by someone trying random graveyard shenanigans. There's probably some people out there trying something like Living End or something now that the graveyard hate might have passed. So, with that said, let's hop into a league, see how this goes. Kind of hoping to run into some of these Stoneforge Mystic decks, but we will see what we run into this evening. Been a while since we've done a live stream, so hopefully people stop by and ask some questions, but here we go. Alright, we'll be on the play. That's a huge boon here. Yeah. Well, can't keep the 4-lander on the play. So as good as just because that was a list that I happened to copy what they had. This hand's pretty good. I think the pitch is obviously the 3rd land, probably the Sacred Foundry here. Yeah, Faithless Looting died for the sins of the graveyard decks, pretty much. So, sad as it is, I certainly didn't expect it, but, you know, I think the format's probably better without it. Temur Battle Rage. Okay. Some type of Death Shadow variant? Yep, looks like Mardu Shadow. They must not have liked the card they saw on top, I guess. It's a weird down the path of burn deck. That said, this is kind of a rough matchup. I've played it once or twice, and it's just... Our matchup isn't terrible, but it's certainly not great. Wow. Probably going to take the Skewer the Critics here. Kind of indicates they don't have a... Or they might be... I don't know what it indicates. Indicates, I guess, they don't have a kill spell. Not going to play any spells here. Probably should have held that land in hand. Not that Searing Blaze is the greatest anyway. That is a very painful Liliana. Probably not. Because triggering landfall on Searing Blaze might be a little bit more difficult now. But I guess if they're not presenting a Death Shadow, it's not as big a deal. Yeah. So I can crack this for more information. If we happen to draw... Nah. I think it's just discard the... Yeah. Not all of these Mardu Shadow lists play Liliana of the Veil, though. This is actually a tricky decision. Do I crack the can land now? Or do I just, like, kind of pitch... Either get ready to pitch the Searing Blaze or the, I think it's just the Searing Blaze we pitch. It's kind of a tough decision because, well, Mono Red Prowess... Alright. Okay, so our opponent concedes. Sure. We weren't actually drawing things to beat them anytime soon. Mardu Shadow's a tricky one because they have... I'm drawing the conclusion that they're Mardu Shadow because of Temur Battle Rage and Liliana of the Veil, plus the Horizon lands. So they're a weird one because they have... A lot of the builds have both Tide the Hollow Sculler and the 3-mana Tutor guy. I'm drawing a blank on the moment. Allows them to go fetch their Death Shadow Hero of Precinct 1. Yeah, definitely. We're definitely bringing in Palm and Path. I'm just questioning... what cards I'm taking out here. Yeah. Normally, like against normal shadow variants, I would like take these searing blazes out, but against both Tide Holosculler and well, that's gonna drop. No, I don't think it's Rift. Well, actually, Rift Bolt's not a terrible suggestion in the face of the ability on. Why am I drawing a blank tonight, man? In the face of Ranger Captain of Eos, that's the one I was drawing a blank on. Alright, so immediately punished for leaving in Searing Blaze. I still think we keep this hand, though. We have two potential redraws down the line, and Goblin Guide, which is probably going to get taken by a discard spell here anyway, or not. Okay. The problem with Shadow is the damage we do them actually helps them to a certain degree. So it's kind of a weird tension in these matchups. There's a Street Wraith, so definitely confirm Shadow. Why would you leave Street Wraith in? You must not really have the tools to fight this battle, huh? We're going to get Scullered here. Yep, definitely confirm Sculler. Nope. I'm going to say, yeah, this is definitely a title of Sculler. Take whatever you want, because your Sculler's dying. Brutality is going to be a little bit rough. Wow. They're not. Alright, sure. They have an Inquisition too? No, just Death Shadow. Alright. We're in a weird spot now. Like, we can't... Presume they just take that there, right? Just pass. They'll have to play the collective brutality this turn, or they're just dead. Yeah, I know. It's very weird they didn't play Collective Brutality there. He didn't fetch it away by any means, did he? I don't think so. Yeah, I knew he had the Street Wraith, but I actually actively want them to lose the 2 life there. And the Goblin Guide isn't going to get in for damage. So it's just best to chump block once you hit that point with Shadow anyway. Yeah, once your opponent starts deploying Death Shadows, your creatures dealing damage are done. Unless they're really silly. I don't think our opponent made the correct sequencing choices there. I think they honestly should have cast that Collective Brutality. Even if they weren't going to use the Drain mode, I still think they should have cast the Collective Brutality to at least take a card from our hand and kill our Goblin God before combat. But, you know, what do I know? So what does everyone think of the BNR announcements? Definitely a little bit more earth-shaking. Oh, all the modes were good for our opponent. Even if they chose not to do the drain so they killed their shadow, it's like you still probably should have deployed the Collective Brutality. Well, I mean, the new meta is probably going to be, at least in the short term, Stoneforge Mysitc decks, Jund, Urza, and Burn and Tron. Batterskull's annoying, don't get me wrong. Ugh, man. This is a hand. Why would you go back to Naya Burn? I'm going to keep this hand because we're on the draw. This hand is... Oh, never mind. We're on the play. Ugh. This hand's even more sketch. I think because I have these 4 plays, I'm going to keep it, but this is certainly a hand that could... most people would probably maul. Keeping it because it has a very huge upside of if we hit a second land, this hand could go pretty bonkers. Oh, Jund, that's going to be a little bit rough. What new land? Oh, I don't think it's worth going back. The only meta it makes sense to go back to Naya is a meta that is extremely hateful to the spell end of the burn decks. So things like I don't even know what meta that would be, honestly. Assassin's Trophy? Just gonna pass here. I could double spell this turn, and it's possible I'm supposed to, but I think I'm just gonna Boros Charm them. Yeah, Naya is only relevant when the card specifically Wild Nacatl is relevant. Oh, good old Dunksies, huh? Yeah, but they're really... The meta has to get to a really weird place for people to be packing 4 copies of Leyline of Sanctity. That's just kind of evil. Well, Scoozy has no fuel, so I don't particularly care about Scoos. There are certain decks that do it. Bogles does it. I'm going to attack here to get a little bit more info out of our opponent. I'm presuming they're just going to trophy, Shashin trophy this, and then we'll get a second main phase and kill their thingamabobber here. Risk factor is... How do I put this? Boarding out Searing Blaze because it's generally bad against Jund. Bringing in 2 Skull Cracks, 2 Path to Exile. So other cards we can consider the other 2 Skull Cracks, consider the 2 Deflecting Palms. Dark Altair, I'll get to your question in 1 minute as soon as we finish sideboarding. Could consider boarding out some number of Eidolons in the draw. That would open up more slots for either Skullcrack or Deflecting Palm. Have I ever gotten laid? Yes. Wow. The questions. Anywho. Probably boarding out 2 Eidolons. Board in the other 2 Skullcracks. Dr. Newbie Noob, you're being timed out. You're just being dumb, man. Yeah, it's live. We have someone being a smart aleck. I tend to be pretty tolerant of dumb stuff, but it's just like... When you're going beyond Space Marine level stupid, it's time to time you out. Alright, so... Cut the final 2 Eidolons for Deflecting Palm, or leave the other 2 Eidolons in. I think... On the draw, I'm going to bring in the palms. Seems perfectly reasonable. We have no way to interact with creatures, and we're taking some damage from our lands. But we're definitely, well, most likely going to get hit in with a Goblin Guide. Probably going to get Inquisition here. I mean, yeah, it's an easy keep. I'm just saying we're going to get Inquisition here. So we're going to get hit with a Goblin Guide. This is the problem I have with Deflecting Palm. Is when they know you have it, they can generally play around it. Would be funny if they, like, Inquisitioned us and then, oh dear. Double deflecting poem. This is why I was kind of afraid of boarding in the second one, or both of them. Oh, we're gonna get Inquisitioned again. Yay. Or they're just gonna run out of Goyf and just not care. Because Goyf is currently a 3-4. Yeah, that's why I severely waffle on deflecting palm, especially if they're on a Liliana draw. It gets really bad. They were really thinking about wanting that lightning bolt. Fatal push. Alright, so Goblin God effectively did 4? That obviously gives away information, but I'm going to need to empty my hand against the Liliana here. Alright, or they're on the Scavenging Ooze plan. This is giving them a free window to hit us with skews, but, you know, it's whatever here. Yeah, I probably should have killed skews there. You're right. Yeah, that's the weird dichotomy, right? Plus they only had 2 they may have to kill their own creature here, which will be kind of funny. Sure. Get back your fetch land, which kills you? Oh, they're just gonna get peat land back, sure. That makes sense. Sure. Do I discard the... I'm gonna just discard the Swift Spear here. I mean, it sucks because that gives them more fodder for skews, but at the same time, they can't crack that fetch land, so... Okay. Man. What a weird holding pattern we're in. We have Rift Bolts in our deck, so there is some consideration to... It's possible. I saw somebody messing with a... Why wouldn't you play Goyf here? Feels so weird. They have two... There's, what, two creatures in the yard? Goyf and Swiftspear? Yeah, they know we have both Deep Palms. That's why they haven't been attacking. They find another creature, we could be in some trouble here. Because they can discard it to Liliana. Alright, and we got there against Jun. Nice. Nice to get there against the, Well, they were dead to the Rift Bolt that was suspended. So, they were dead on board. And the Deflecting Palms kept them from attacking for all those turns, so... Can't really complain about Deflecting Palm in this particular case. Yes, Dave, it's live. No, it's in the sideboard right now. We're on the play. This hand looks good. We got a couple... I'm glad Dredge got a nerf, but I'm sad that Phoenix had to pay for Dredge's sins, pretty much. What's up, O'Doyle? How you doing? Steam vents, huh? Could be interesting. Some poor soul is still trying to run Phoenix. Nope. We up against the Storm Daddy. The problem we have is our interaction is only... to be determined, Too Sly. I don't honestly know. I'd like to draw a fetch land next turn, or a lightning bolt. I think those would be the best cards in our arsenal. Because otherwise we could die here. Hey, just what I wanted for Christmas. A third Searing Blaze. Oh, and they have Remand. Lucky us. Hopefully they don't have a third land. They discarded Steam Vents, so it seems unlikely they don't have a third land. You really not have a third land? Alright, so we're dead? Cool. If they have the correct hand, we're just dead here, so... What's up, Space Marine? Hey, I think I finally did a first. I actually had to time somebody out in chat for being obnoxious. Yeah, I actually had to time somebody out. It's pretty sad. It's deterministically dead, right? Goes up to 4, then they can cast... Yeah, we're dead. You're not as obnoxious as that person was. It was, in fact, the words that I said. There's only 5 fetch lands in this build. Is it right to board out some amount of Searing Blazes here? I feel like it might be correct to board out some number of Searing Blazes in this situation. Well, dude wasn't malicious, he was just being obnoxious. Like, he's like, have you ever gotten laid? Like, yeah. And he's like, by a human being? I'm like, this is a mulligan. Gonna suck to potentially lose to Storm. This hand, we gotta keep it. We've got 2 bolts, we've got a couple Swift Spears. I think the pitch is the skewer here. Well, not only stupid, it's just downright ignorant. I mean... Hey, I got your message about, I don't even care about your mom jokes. That's whatever. Oh, never mind. I got the joke. I'm a little slow on the uptake here. Opt, sure. Main phase opt's a little weird. Wow. We aren't having the best draws, but... Has what username? Oh, I know. I'm not... I'm just gonna hold up bolt here so we don't die randomly to a stupid, dork here. So, I can't run out Eidolon here. There's too high of a chance of them having remand. The question becomes do I suspend Riftbolt and risk dying to exactly 4th land drop, Mana Dork, Remand? Or do I just play it safe and play 2 bolts and potentially give them 2 more turns? I think I'm just supposed to suspend Riftbolt and set up for the kill next turn. Because that seems really unlikely for them to have that specific combination of cards. And if they do, more power to them, I guess. Okay, they have the 4th land drop. Looks like they might just go for, like, Grape Shot, nuke the board. Or they're just going for a bunch of, goblins, perhaps. Looks like it's just empty the warrens for 6. Got lucky and top decked. This Fiery Islet, man. Every time. I mistap it every bloody time. One more. Not out of burn, I don't. I can remember sideboarding Anger of the Gods. Don't think we want any of these other cards. Like, Searing Blaze is actually even worse on the draw. But that only leaves us Path and Lightning Bolt to interact with a dude on 3. Still think we roll with the sideboarding. Yeah, Blaze is just so much. This hand's fine, but we could obviously. Well, actually, is it fine? 2 copies of our best card in the matchup, but 4 lands. They're mulliganing to 6. So do we keep this hand? This is one of those 4-landers that I'm inclined to almost keep because we have this and this. Lava Spike I can take or leave. Yeah, Jeskai's fine. I kind of grew disenfranchised with it. You were always naysaying Jeskai Space Marine because you're like, oh, I don't like winning games. I just like boring my opponent to death. It's good only if they don't have Remand or Bolt for this stuff. Alright. And please lead off on your Mana Dork. Okay, just pure through depths. Which means we're going to get to land an Eidolon. That's at least nice. I get bored of boring. Fair enough. Well, Truth I don't care about. Like, Echoing Truth I don't care about, per se. I just don't. I want this to land before they have a Mana Dork down. I want them to take damage for their spells. Like, I don't want them comboing off without something on the board to interact with them. Wow, this is a very weird spot we're in here. still think we run out the second Eidolon. Much as I'm tempted to hold up the Searing Blaze, I think they have the ability to fight through a Searing Blaze. Potentially. I think we're closing the noose, though. Yep. Alright, that was a nice win against Storm. Last couple times I played against that deck, I've actually lost. Just post your list, dude. Like, I can't remember what's different about your particular brand of Jeskai. On the play again. Nice. Four-lander. Not nice. Sans aight. Sure, opponent good luck. Yeah, no. I understand what you meant. But they couldn't, with the way their mana was choked, they couldn't represent that. The only thing they were potentially representing there was Bolt. And a lot of times their plans in post-board games involve, especially against Burn, is to not have... we're keeping this. The question is, what are we pitching? So, Guide, Spike, Skewer, or Boros Charm. It's either the Skewer or the Boros Charm. I'm not sure which one's the correct pitch here. Might even just be Spike. I'm going to send back Skewer just because it has the most potential. Yeah, I think Skewer had the most potential to be a dead card or something that costs us 3 mana to cast, so I think it was the weakest card in the hand. Ooh! Burn mirror match. Rough. You got the bolt for my guide, friend? You do, in fact, have the bolt for my guide. And we gave you a painless source of mana. Yeah, this is going to be rough, because I don't have any of the good stuff in my sideboard right now. I don't have any core Firewalkers, which were in there because of the, the mirror match with everything going on. We're down a card. I guess we'll see if they have another... do this. It's a 9. No. Guide's not worth saving in that situation. The question becomes, am I supposed to bolt this Swift Spear? I don't honestly know. I don't think a longer game favors us, so I think the answer here is supposed to be no. If they cast another spell, I might, though. This is rough, though, because I don't know that we're winning this race. This is putting us to 10. That would put us to 7. This would put us to 6. I don't know that we're winning that race. And then we immediately draw Searing Blaze. Yeah, I think we're probably dead here. there's a very good chance they just untap and kill us. So. Yep. We don't have a ton for the board for the matchup. We have a couple pass. We have a couple deflecting palms. Pass come in as another hedge against creatures and as a catch-all against Core Firewalker. Deflecting palms just reasonable in the matchup. Skullcrack is certainly a consideration. The question becomes over what, though? Like, these four could cut Boros Charm, could cut Skewer, Riftbolt, or Lava Spike. I think... Well, we already have to cut 4 things before we even start bringing in Skullcracks. Alright, Tyler. Sleep well, man. I think it's just Boros Charm and Lava Spike out then. If we're going to bring in all those. The reason you trim these ones is they don't interact with creatures, and the burn mirror often comes down to the one that's creature sticks around the longest is kind of the winner. Sand's fine. Got a couple fetch lands. We have a Riftbolt and a Searing Blaze, so Sand's reasonable. It's not the greatest for fighting through a bunch of life gain from our opponent, though. Alright, looks like they have the same opening we do. So the card I normally cut, now that I'm thinking about it, is Eidolon, but I would probably keep Eidolon in on the play here. So... I'm gonna get Lightning Helix here. Nope. Alright. Awkward. So I think we play it here. Yep, we're gonna get Helix, go figure. I'm surprised they didn't do that on end step, honestly. But what do I know? Here comes the Searing Blaze. Yep. Now we just all sit here and do absolutely nothing for a while. It's a little bit of a weird spot to crack a land, but whatevs. At this point, I don't care if they have Helix. I'm more just trying to get my spells out of my hand. Of course, they have a second Helix. Why wouldn't they, right? Cannot deploy this Eidolon here. We're actually behind in the race, and this is why I don't like Eidolon in the mirror match. As much as people swear by this card, it's dead too many times. So we'll force our opponent to react. Or not. Okay. Like, I really want to deploy this lightning helix, but there's a good chance we just die in response. But I can't... He has the mana advantage, or they have the mana advantage, so I can't really, like... Yep, so our light totals are going to basically remain the same here. Or they have Skullcrack and we're just really SOL. Yep, Boros Charm. If they have anything, we're dead here, so I'm just gonna play the game out. Everybody ready to die? I know I am. Another deflecting poem? Am I not dead? How am I not dead? I'll skewer the critics. Something. There we go. Yep. That was rough. Alrighty. On to match number 5 here. So I want to thank all you guys for hanging out this evening. 15 viewers, that's pretty insane, especially considering we haven't streamed in a long while. I think for the next couple weeks we'll be streaming quite a bit. Now that I'm on vacation from work for a couple weeks. Yeah, I wasn't expecting a 5. I'm surprised we rallied back for the win against Storm as we did, so... Sounds pretty solid. Even for being on the draw, that sounds pretty solid. Another Steam Vents deck. Interesting. Could be Jeskai, could be Storm. Sure. Dude, I already know the link. So, Phoenix? Or just some style of control deck? Feels like some style of control deck. I'm still going to leave up Searing Blaze on the off chance that they are some style of Storm deck here. Nope. They are some style of... whatchamacallit control here. They could potentially force this, I guess, but do I really care if you're forcing Searing Blaze? Ah, Seasoned Pyromancer. Interesting. Blood Moon and Snapcaster Mage. So... I feel like I'm just supposed to put them to 2, right? Actually, I should have held that. You have a Spell Pierce here? Oh. Yeah, that's what I'm guessing here. Wow. How many... Oh yeah, it's definitely not a fun experience. That's a roughin'. There's a dude that plays um, some of the bigger events at the local shop I go to. Um, he has the most awesome magic name ever. His name's Odin. Um, and Odin, uh, this feels bad because if they have uh, counterspell here, it could be in some trouble. Spell snared. Gotcha. I don't know. No, he doesn't have a raven on his shoulder now. We dead to a bolt. I'm gonna upkeep this damn thing. Just pardon my language there. Try not to usually swear. Did have a force of negation. Can we get lucky here, or are we just dead? We are just dead. That sucks. Bring in the firecrafts. Don't know that we want anything else. Could potentially bring in Skullcracks in case they have Dragon's Claw, but I think if they have Dragon's Claw, we're in trouble anyway. Could bring in Smash the Smithereens to fight Dragon's Claw, but we don't know. I think it's just shave 2 Searing Blaze, bring in 2 Firecraft, and hope it's good enough here. Sounds pretty solid. I don't think they have any big creatures in their deck. There's nothing that indicates... Maybe Thing in the Ice, I suppose? They have the Bolt. They do. It's unfortunate. They also have the Mana Leak. It's an interesting one. So we also know they run Spell Snare here, so they could actually be representing 2 counter spells. Sneak in the damage while we can. You gonna force this? You are. Pitching Spell Snare. Man. We might be in a rough spot this game, man. Because we know they still have that leak in their hand, too. Guess we just do this to try to bait out the leak. Do they have the snare? Well, even if they don't, it's not like we're going to be able to... Okay, they don't. Cool. This feels like Jace time. What do they have for 5 mana? Guess we'll find out. Pact or Fiction, huh? So... those are an annoying set of cards. So we'll put Opt. Let's do this while you're top low on mana. Get you to 6. So you're dead? Cool. Most likely dead anyway. I don't really want to... yeah, I really don't want to show him Firecraft, but what else are we going to do, right? Ah! It didn't have Spellcraft! I don't know if responding with Bolt would have been good there or not. I think we might have just stolen a punt there. I guess they were dead to Bolt plus whatever anyway. Because if they have a counterspell and it's not Cryptic Command, which obviously couldn't have been in that spot, they were dead to the Eidolon trigger plus a Bolt anyway. So I think we were good, but I still think I punted there. This hand, I mean, we're obviously keeping this hand, but not the best again in this matchup. Holy crap, ladies and gentlemen. 18 people watching us. That is insane. Thank you all tonight for the support. Counterspells are weak in Modern when decks like Humans are being played, Space Marine. When the format's all about, or against, things like Hogak, it's pretty bad. Gotta admit, counterspells are not good against Hogak. But when it's a mid-range slugfest, counterspells are pretty reasonable. Does anyone else smell a spell snare? They couldn't snare that puppy fast enough. Seasoned Pyromancer? Yep. I don't know, Juan. That's something I'm going to aim to find out this week as well. Is it Charm's the most likely replacement, but as to how effective it is, no, it's not going to be Burning Inquiry, Burning Pasta Cat. It's definitely not going to be Burning Inquiry. Only if it goes to like a Hollow Vine variant or something stupid like that. Yeah, if random discard was a thing, Tybalt would be OP. Unfortunately, Tybalt's garbage, so... That one has Spell Mastery. I don't know what you could find, friend. Bolt themselves? Sure. They're not reprinting Careful Study. Unfortunately. There's been a huge debate on the Is It Phoenix forum, but Magic AIDS, no, actually I think it's maybe a turn slower. But the whole format's now basically a turn slower, other than decks like Burn. Magic AIDS a while back played a banned version of Faithless Looting with Is It Phoenix, and he was still able to go 3-2 with it. His list included like weird things like Riftbolt and stuff, but I do think like some combination of like Lightning Axe, Tormenting Voice, Chart a Course, Is It Charm, all of those are potentially okay replacements. In worst case scenario, Phoenix morphs back into Thing Ascension is like the other backup plan if the Phoenix plan isn't relevant at all. And with Graveyard Hate presumably going to be at a relative low, Ascension and Thing in the Ice as your A plan, and then it's kind of like a Jeskai deck because it usually has bolts and helixes, and then having Aria of Flame and maybe some other win con in the sideboard is probably where Phoenix would head. It would obviously be a much weaker deck at that point without having the Phoenix plan as a tertiary, but it is those are the couple different directions the deck could go. So, remains to be seen, Space Marine. The Phoenix plan's probably a turn or two slower, but I don't know that either the Aria of Flame plan or the Thing in the Ice plan necessarily slows down, because the play pattern that something like it could morph into Blue Moon, or it could just kind of be like what our opponent, something similar to what our opponent was playing with, like Seasoned Pyromancer as kind of a mid-range discard outlet. There's several different directions the deck could go. I don't think it's going to be as good as it was, but to be fair, I also think that Phoenix was also weaker in the Mahogak meta anyway. So it remains to be seen where the deck goes. I'm certainly going to be testing that later this week, but I wanted to get a Burn League in. I was kind of hoping to run into these Stoneforge decks, but we didn't, so 4-1, obviously very solid. The Exquisite Firecrafts worked overtime. Yeah, it's over, Raphael. Burn Leagues don't last very long, man. Burn Leagues don't last very long at all. My brother was asking me the same question, Space Marine. Like, he was asking me if I was going to be off of Phoenix completely in paper now that the meta has shifted, quote unquote. I don't know that the meta has shifted all that much. I think it's slowed down. I think there's going to be more. I think in the immediate aftermath, the meta is going to slow down. Certain decks, people are going to try to go back to pet decks like Storm. They're going to try to go back to decks like maybe Ad Nauseam. They're going to go back to decks like, things that can get around or don't care about what Stoneforge Mysitc is doing. I think you'll see those decks attempt to come back. I think one deck that benefits tremendously from this, besides the Jund and Green-Black X decks, is Tron. I'm doing alright, War Dog. Just kind of having the wrap-up chat about the deck and talking about the format a little bit overall. I honestly think it remains to be seen. I'll get a very good view of things at an MCQ this weekend. Get Phoenix back. I don't know if that's necessary, but you could certainly have a turn like Metamorphose into Izzet Charm into like Gut Shot to get it back. No, you got another 6 or 7 days before you get another deck played, Space Marine. One per month, man. One per month. And last time you chatted, you wanted me to play that Miracles deck, so you know the rule. You know the Patreon and deck notation rules, my man. One per month per. I said show it, not play it. Oh right, I'll go. Yeah. Let me go grab it then. Those of anyone interested in Space Marines. Actually, I might just be able to link it in chat here while I'm going back to finishing up talking about the deck, or if anybody has any other questions. The American Wrath deck, is that the one? The Showdown? Oh, I don't know if there's a Showdown. I hope he starts putting out more content soon. It's good to get some more burn content into the system. Especially right now when there's such a huge shift in the meta. I think it's good to get multiple viewpoints. But I was actually thinking about Leyline of Combustion before all this recent nonsense was happening. I was getting ready to test a version with Leyline of Combustion, actually in the main deck. Before all this Hogak nonsense went insane. And now that looks like we might be heading back towards a more mid-range meta, it may not be a terrible idea. That's the one that's basically a Eidolon effect every time you or one of your creatures gets targeted by something. So like Inquisitions and Thought Seizes deal your opponents 2 damage. Anytime your opponent points a removal spell at one of your creatures, it does them 2 damage. It's very solid against the mid-range and control decks if you're able to have it on turn 0. But against and it's probably a royal pain in the hind end in the mirror match. But it's terrible against decks like humans or merfolk or bogles or so. And obviously, being a ley line, it's a very high variance card. So, because you either have it in your opener or it's total trash. So, burn is good, but it remains to be seen if the Stoneforge Mystic decks and Jund are enough to push burn back down lower in the meta. Burn has gotten a huge advantage because of these cards. How many times do we flood out and get redraws with these 6? I honestly thought that 6 can lands would be too much, but I honestly think 5 or 6 might be correct. I would like to get another fetch somewhere in this list with Searing Blaze, because we're rapidly approaching the point where Searing Blaze is a sorcery speed card, and I don't know that's a good thing. Yeah, if you draw more than one in a game, that's why I'm not sure, Adoyle, where the breaking point for the ley line would be. It seems solid, War Dog. This is only my second league running. My second league running the 6 can lands. The first one I did off camera, and I meant to record it, but with the announcements today, it was just like, why would I bother to put this video out? So, I wanted to get a live stream in today. I was kind of hoping to run into some Stoneforge Mystic decks, but no such luck tonight. What did we beat? Well, we played against Jund, Mardu Death Shadow, Storm, and blue-red mid-range control, whatever it was, and we lost to the mirror match. So, that was the rundown of the matches we played. If anybody else has any other questions. But life loss is... Yeah, life loss isn't good. I'll definitely agree there. What's up? Yes, Space Marine. You don't have to go, hey, question. You can just type the question. It's not like you don't message me on Discord anytime you have a question anyway, so not a huge deal. Thanks, Raphael. There'll be a lot of content these next couple of weeks, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Ancestral Visions in Burn. Well, good to see you too, Russell. I considered Ancestral Visions. If I was going to play a draw spell in Burn, it would be Light Up the Stage. I would try Light Up the Stage before I would try Ancestral Visions. The only deck that I would consider Ancestral Visions in would be blue-red Delver, Wizard Delver, whatever it is, as kind of like a sideboard card. And I do kind of consider Wizard Delver a burn deck, but I would definitely only play it in that. I think he is War Dog, but I also think he's partially being serious. But I would play it in the sideboard of Wizard Delver, but I would not play it. Well, another thing, a card everybody's forgotten about is Collective Conjuring. That's certainly a card that you could splash blue for. I don't think it's good, but it's certainly a card you could splash blue for. Godless Mac, we're wrapping it up for the night, man. I was just answering some people's questions. Sorry. I finished the league, that's all I was going to play tonight. Anywho, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. As far as Nakadal earlier, Adoyle, I think Nakadal only is specifically good in a meta where people are hard targeting burn with things like Leyline of Sanctity. Otherwise, I don't necessarily think that Nakadal burn is the right play to go back to. There are people that are trying Nakadal Zoo, which is fine. I just don't think it's... Burn already takes too much damage from its mana base to use these can lands. So I don't think there's a reason to go back to Nakadal right now, but it's certainly something to keep in mind if people start attacking Burn with like ley lines and such. So, anywho, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. 4-1 with the league, pretty solid, and I hope everybody has a good night. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to contact me in the Discord. I'll try to answer your guys' questions as best as possible. And if you want to support the channel, don't forget to check out our Patreon page. So, anyways, everybody have a good night.